the importance of stories in Christianity. When Cody and I first started talking, we both were kind of working on this or had an idea on this project that we were thinking about working on. Neither one of us had talked about with each other before, but we had a very, very similar idea of kind of like writing a fantasy story, and similar to like a Lord of the Rings or something like that. But it's a story that has Christian themes and values put into it. And as you're reading through the story and the story is being told, it's really telling a Christian story or a Christian narrative and things like that. And so we've kind of connected a little bit on that. I'm not going to go into a lot of details. We've talked a little about the stories, but I will save a lot of the details of the stories for when they are actually like released, which may be a little bit still.
Yeah.
But really, what we want to do is we want to tell the story of Christianity or different Christian values or concepts and things like that, and use stories to help those be told. Uh, I brought up to Cody before we started recording. There's a quote by C.S. Lewis, and I'm probably going to butcher the quote, but basically he said that our society is too on guard for Christianity, so you have to sneak it in disguised as a good story. And the exact language he used is like sneaking in as a dragon through the castle gate or something. I don't remember. It was very, very in that realm of fantasy. But what he's trying to get at is the Chronicles of Narnia that he wrote. It is chock full of Christian theology and teaching and concepts, like all the way through all the books. And people that aren't aware of Christianity may not pick up on it, but you're
Mhm.
seeing the Christian doctrine laid out in front of you in a way that a child can pick up and read and enjoy. Um, Tolkien is similar. There's Christian themes throughout Lord of the Rings and the
There's so many people
uh,
who don't know that, by the way. It's crazy.
yeah, I know it's crazy, but this whole idea, and I think it's important because Christians have always had art. It's only been real recently that Christians have kind of stepped away. Um, and that's the reason why is because they understand that God is beauty. And so they use these things, whether it's music or painting or storytelling, to kind of be an outlet for them to interact with God, to maybe in some way kind of commune with God and join in that creative process that God did with us, and they're doing through a different avenue. But that's something I think is important for Christians to get involved in. We've talked about the music already, but for stories, what do you think, Cody, is some of the importance of that? And then if you want to, I mean, if there is anything with yours that you want to throw out there, or any like broad ideas or anything like that, and then I'll follow you up.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who are interested and have a liking of the. I'll just say that the style of it is very like a medieval style, right? Kind of like a Lord of the Rings or something like that, right? Um, and when you the importance of it, right? So there are people who probably watch these movies, who read these books, who immerse themselves in this world of fantasy, and like I'm one of them. I have a huge interest in fantasy and the medieval style stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, when there's no Christian influence in those worlds, like heavy metal or rap or things like that, you have these people that stay within that realm, right? And most of them won't leave it.
Yeah.
And so when you bring it to them in their world, they have no choice but to be a part of it if they're interested in the story, right?
Yep.
And so it's not to be deceitful, more so it's to kind of like you said, just we're putting ourselves in people's worlds so that they can be exposed to similarities with God's word, right, and stories in the Bible. And that's definitely one of the biggest things I think is meeting people in their interests in their worlds, who otherwise wouldn't branch out and just read the Bible by
Yeah.
itself, right? Or pursue anything Christianity at all. We bring that to them. So I think that's one of the biggest importance of that.
Yeah, and that's I was even talking to my wife a little bit. I think it was right after you told me that you finished The Magician's Nephew,
Mhm.
and my wife's an English major, but she's never read the Chronicles of Narnia, and I take that as a great offense. Although I'm probably the only person in the world that does. That's like the only books that I read growing up,
Mhm.
so it was very very weird to me. And so I'm talking to her about The Magician's Nephew, and I was telling her kind of about the some of the themes that are in it and different things. And I told her, I said, honestly, it's probably when I'm thinking about the creation story, it
Yeah.
is, in my opinion, I think he does an amazing job, and it is, in my opinion, probably one of the best like story adaptations to what creation may have looked like.
Yeah.
And if anyone, I'll brief summary here, but basically these people are in this area, and it's all like there's nothingness. That's it. Like they can tell they're on something, but they can't see it. They can't even really feel it. It's just nothingness. And then they hear this low sound off in the distance, and they start seeing like these trees and stuff start to pop up and grow. And then this lion is coming, which the lion's supposed to be Jesus, and he's coming, and he's got this roar, but it's like a really like peaceful, beautiful, delightful thing to hear. And as he's walking, this stuff just keeps like popping up and growing, and it's literally just like appearing from nowhere. And I just absolutely butchered that, but I highly recommend go read these books. They are classic. But with that, there's so much theological depth that is packed in those stories, and they're done in such a good way. It's just a genuinely good story, and I think it makes it easier for people to discuss things like theology and stuff like that, because even if they've never read the Bible, um, it kind of, or even if they have read the Bible, I think seeing these things unpacked in a story way may kind of help people kind of think through the issues and the topics, things a little bit differently. Um, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was the first movie that was made. It was I think it was the first book that was written too, but it really
It was.
focuses on Jesus and his sacrifice at the cross. And so, um, people that don't understand that or have no concept of it, they can still see that in it, and they can see like it's very very clear. Aslan the lion is the good person in this, and he's done nothing wrong, and he's willingly laying himself down so that this kid that just like completely backstabbed everyone he knew and really didn't do anything right from the beginning, he can go free.
Mhm.
And so, um, just that the whole idea there, and you can see so much of the cross in that just throughout. Um, I just anyone that has not read those, I highly recommend. Anything by Tolkien is good as well. But go support Christian authors. I know. I want to get him on sometime. Chris Laparco, I think
I
is his
think,
last name.
yeah. He's a
But
story told
a
or
story
something on.
told. Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to get him on sometime. I've talked to him a little bit here or there, but he actually has a book series, and it's about, if I'm thinking correctly, it's about Christians having the Holy Spirit in them and like the power that comes with that. And it seems like I've read through the not description, but basically like the overview of the story, and I've heard him talk about it too. And it is a very interesting concept, and I want to read them. I've not bought the books yet because I have a stack of books I'm trying to get through,
Same.
and I'm finishing up a couple of in-depth studies before I can really do any leisurely reading. So I do want to get those though, and I'll probably end up having him on. But he's another one. Anyone that is looking for stuff like that, try to find Christian authors or Christian musicians or anybody, and support them in what they're doing. Like they're going to be able to reach people that we will never be able to reach, that you'll never be able to reach, simply because of how they are doing this and how they're going about it, and the skills and the talents that they've been given. Um, and I think it's an awesome thing to support others doing that. And I think when they reach people, you are partially responsible for that as well, because you have kind of helped to push them to the place where they're at. Um, that's just an awesome thing.
Yeah, 100%.
You got anything else you want to throw in there?
Um, well, just to kind of top it off a little bit, and I'm gonna paraphrase the crap out of this, and hopefully I'm not wrong. So if I am, correct me. But Jesus tells stories and parables to people, and he basically says, because the disciples ask him about it, and he basically says, like, this is the only way these people will understand what I'm saying, when speaking in stories and parables. And so there is beauty in the stories and in art. And like you said, we used to build, and I'm sure you've seen the videos and people say it, but like, we used to build beautiful buildings and have beautiful art, and it seems kind of to have all faded here, just in the world we live in now.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of beauty, but I feel like people are now starting to really try to make a point within the past maybe 20, 30 years to bring beauty to Christianity again. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of add that in there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think Jesus says too that part of it was to help people understand, but also part of it was to kind of disguise what he was saying.
Hmm.
So people that didn't really want to know who he was and what he was doing, they couldn't see it. But people that really did, they were able to. And I think that, again, that's the beauty of the story. And that's another good thing too, is that's how Jesus did it. So I don't know that we can get a better example.